that up. We're live right now.
Halfway back there. Back.
The pitch to Aramis. There's a drive. Deep left center. Cubs win.
Montero drives one in the air. Deep right field. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Way back it might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Holy cow.
The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Kevin and Jeff. We're here to break down the Chicago Cubs series with the Cardinals and give you a little preview of what's ahead. And we might get even a little crazy this episode. And you might think we're delusional, but could the Cubs win the Central? Before we get into all that, I want to talk a little bit about something that I've kind of fallen in love with. We've partnered with the B4 Bat app. It can truly transform young players. I know it's made a huge impact in my own kids being able to work with the B4 Bat app. If you've never heard of B4 Bat app, it is all you need. It's an app that you can download on your iPhone. You don't need any expensive bat sensors or anything like that. It's an incredible tool. It can track your exit velocity, your launch angle, and more, all from your iPhone. Again, no fancy bat sensors or expensive equipment that can get really expensive for parents like myself. All you need is your iPhone, a tripod, and you're good to go. I use the B4 Bat app daily with my son and daughter, and the results have been phenomenal. The way that they can kind of look at and get video evidence and video feedback of their swing is great. And then they can kind of fine tune their swing. They'll know instantly if they're not getting the exit velocity that they want. It's probably because they're not getting the right launch angle. So they kind of have to live between the 15 and 20 launch angle to be able to improve their exit velocity. But it's been a game changer, not only for my kids, but I use it with the kids that I coach on our travel team. It's just been an amazing app. So we're super excited that we get to partner with them to improve our kids swing. So if you're listening and you're a parent, this is a must-have for your kids. So just go to the App Store and search B4 Batting, and trust me, your kids will love it. And yeah, keep hitting those dingers, just like the Cubs have been doing. And the Cubs did yesterday. Miguel Amaya, Mike Tauchman with some dingers, and we just took 3 of 4 from the Cardinals. We got to feel pretty good about that, but there's still like a little bit of like nasty taste in our mouth because it should have been a sweep. How are you feeling about that 3 out of 4 there, Jeffrey?
I like 3 out of 4, but 4 out of 4 would have been way better because I hate St. Louis. I hate people that like the Cardinals that live in Iowa. I just hate it. I got to listen to that crap all the time. Oh, what is the Cubs record? Look how good the Cardinals are doing. I don't care.
What's sad too is like the Cardinals fans that I do know around here, they had all written the season off in May and in early June and weren't even watching baseball. And they're like, nah, whatever, lost season, the Cubs and Brewers can fight over it. And then now they're like, hey, we're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy that the Cubs and Cardinals kind of went in the opposite direction. They Cubs started off hot, Cardinals started off bad, and then they just kind of crossed. And maybe there's still a lot of baseball to be played. Maybe they cross again because the Cubs are only 3 games back of the Cardinals right now after that series. So it was a fun series, especially like when you start the series off with a great comeback victory, which a lot of people, we haven't got to experience that a lot this year, and to see them come back and get a win on Thursday. And then Friday, it played a great game, even though towards the end it kind of got tight, but it was a pretty good, just played game by the Chicago Cubs. Going into the weekend, you're thinking, let's get a sweep. Let's go for all 4 of this. And Saturday, you're up going into what was it, 7th, 8th? You give one run away in the 8th. Was it the 8th, 7th or 8th? I'm trying to lose track. And then the pop up to the middle in between, like kind of the Bermuda Triangle out there. And you had Horner going out and you had PCA coming in. And Horner calls for it. PCA comes in and calls him off and ends up dropping it, scoring 2 runs, and that being the ball game for the Cubs. So what are your initial thoughts of how that play should have gone down, Kevin?
So thinking about it, isn't that the center fielder's area? Like, do they have what do they call that? Not preference.
I mean, they have priority.
Priority.
They have priority over the ball.
And watching that play develop, I wondered if Nico started having flashbacks of his couple run-ins with Hap over the last couple of years was something I worried about. And so he was calling it, but when somebody else started calling it, maybe, a moment or two later, he thinks through and it's like, wait, I don't have priority. And PCA is willing to dive into the brick wall in the back, so I better get out of the way. And at the same time, PCA probably having watched Horner hit Hap and get hurt when he was down in the minors, is he then backing off? Because he had more than enough speed to get there. I mean, he was almost standing still when the ball hit the ground. Like, watching it looked like a young player. Like, there was something chemistry-wise missing there.
Yeah, I mean, in the post-game press, they did say that was Nico's ball. Because if you watch it, Nico's camped. He gets to the spot and is camped under the ball. And they almost they didn't blame, but they said that PCA was over aggressive for that ball when he should have just let Nico, which maybe, but at the same time, like, we all know that the checks offs on a pop fly, like who can call who off. And in that situation, we've always been taught, like, infielder, you go out as far as you can until you get called off by the outfielder, and then it's the outfielder ball, right? Like that's what I was taught.
Yep. That's
how I've played. And here, Nico did the right thing in calling off. The thing is, when PCA calls it, he's got to go get it. Yeah, I know they're maybe scared of running into each other. But it's just, it sucks. Like it's hard because it feels like that one loss is a bigger loss. It makes a bigger impact when we're trying to get back into things. And especially when this team has kind of figured itself out a little bit, who they are, and they've been playing good baseball. But I will say this, the one good thing that happened was they bounced back on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Even getting down early with Wynn's home run, they got down. They bounced back and got a good win. Miguel Amaya home run, Mike Tauchman with another dinger. So it was good to see that.
I'd say it's refreshing. Yeah, I'd say it's refreshing to see that. They come from behind win on Thursday. They bounce back after letting the game slip away Saturday. And then we haven't really got to see it on where they get down early. We haven't really seen it a lot this season where they come back to take the game, which if you know they can do it, you're going to hang around there and watch the whole game. You're not just going to flip the channel like I do. So,
in even more so of who flushed it, that game was PCA. And you kind of got to see more of his development as a big league player and being able to bounce back. Because on Sunday, what do you have, a double and a single on Sunday after that costly error? And that's big for a young player to have to go through that in a rivalry game against the Cardinals, 40 plus in attendance watching that thing. Like the place is packed and you drop the ball and cost them the game. And then you bounce back. His interview after the game, I felt like he handled it really, really well. And like, handle it like a professional. He owned his mistake, and you can just see his growth. And so that's what I'm excited about seeing with PCA. And you're kind of seeing him turn the corner. I'll even say I think that PCA is the key to how the rest of this season is going to go. His development as a hitter and as a professional is going to make the biggest impact if we make a run here. Do you guys agree with me? What are your guys' thoughts here?
I do, because he's been a lot better at the plate with like pitch recognition and not being too overly aggressive. And say we do wind up in the playoffs, it'll be great to have him out there in defense, but not be a liability at the plate and be like, yeah, you go ahead, bring it in. Easy out here. So
yeah, in his last 10 games, he's 10 for 33 with a 303 batting average.
I'll play. They'll play.
And he's on a streak of stolen base, streak without getting thrown out. Was up 22 right now, 21, 22. He's matched the White Sox loss record.
Whoops.
In a row.
Little jab.
Nice.
But yeah,
the only thing I would add to that is I think PCA is definitely a part of it, but it really seems like this team missed Mike Tauchman and Cody Bellinger. Those guys batting has really seemed to have turned around the rest of the bats. I don't know that they've really put it together like all in one game. I know Sunday's win, there was a lot of hits in the bottom half of the order, but you're going to take it. Dansby's now batting 223 and he was hovering at the 200 line. His average is coming up, but I really think Tauchman doing Tauchman's summer of Tauchman stuff seems to be a regularity 2 years in a row. And Cody's been looking pretty good back at the plate.
And he's still dealing with a little bit of a finger issue. I think this series against Minnesota, he's not going to play out in the field. He's just going to hit. Ian Happ, who's a little banged up after running into the wall the other night. So Seiya's a little dinged up with. It's just when you have Seiya on a hot streak, you don't want him injured. Bellinger's been in a hot bat since coming back. But still, I think with PCA, you have to feel good about his development because we've had this kind of theme the last couple episodes of talking kind of like what Jed's been saying of you're in the present right now, but you're still looking to 2025. And his development is key to what this team is going to look like in 2025. So him being able to cut down on swinging at bad pitches, he's been driving the ball, squaring a lot of balls up. And the thing is, do they think about, and I think I've mentioned this to Jake a couple times, do they think about putting him in the leadoff spot? If he gets on, if he gets on early, it's automatic double. If he walks or gets he's going to be on second base. Do you want that early in the game? Because he's making contact a little bit more, would you think about that? Because Cubs truly really don't have a leadoff guy. They haven't really had a leadoff guy. Would they think about doing that and preparing him for that next year?
Wow. When was the last time we had a center fielder that led off? Was that Kenny Lofton?
Yeah.
In 03?
Well, Dexter Fowler.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Dexter. He's easy to forget. I don't know how. First African-American to hit a home run in Game 7 of the World Series. How can I forget?
I think he played on a really good team, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think they did some cool things.
Yeah.
Didn't they win a World Series in
2016? I think they did some damage in 2016 in the playoffs.
Yeah. My one hesitation with PCA as a leadoff is his walk rate isn't super high, which is one of those, if he's still getting, contact and he's getting on base, you can't really argue with that. But that might be something to see. But it's also, as much as we want to make the go and we want to get to the playoffs this year, him developing, like you said, Mitch, and preparing for that role next year, probably worth more than a couple of his outs at the top of the lineup working towards it this year. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. I want to bring up this tweet. This was tweeted at me by Scott from Iowa. It says this was on August 3rd. So it says Cubs have 50 games left in the second easiest schedule remaining. The most days off in the NL. If they go 30-20, that gets them to 84 wins. The same number as the D-backs had last year to make the playoffs and then make a run in the playoffs to get to the World Series. 15 games versus the White Sox, the Miami Marlins, Colorado Rockies, Oakland, and Washington Nationals. Call me crazy or call me delusional. Could we make a run? We're 6 games back and still take this division. Because that got me believing. And then I think I look at this, that the Brewers since July 1st are 12-15. They're without Christian Yelich, and William Contreras is coming back to normal. Call me crazy, but I think we have a chance. What do you got? Am I crazy? Jeff, talk me back. Talk me back into like reality here, because usually you're like a downer on things.
Why am I a downer? You say downer, I say realist.
Okay. Am I unrealistic in thinking that this could happen?
No, mathematically it could happen. I'm not gonna talk it back.
Because you're a math guy. You're a math guy. You love numbers.
Loves
Jeff.
the numbers. Loves the numbers, folks.
Look at your
Huge
glasses.
numbers guy right here.
All you gotta do is do this to your glasses, and you're a numbers guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. No, nothing would, after the disappointing season that we've had so far, and with so many letdowns, it is mathematically possible that we could win the Central Division, and I'd be there for it. I'd love it. But they need to be consistent through the stretch, and they need to win these games and these series that they should win, which is something that we've struggled with most of the season, is not winning series that we should. Right, Kevin?
Yep. Yeah, and I'm looking over the last 10, when you look at MLB.com/standings, we're the only team in the Central that has a winning record over the last 10. Everybody else is either middle of the road or down, and we just got our run differential back up to 0. We're no longer negative, which we've been for a long time. The 2 teams ahead of us in the division both have negative run differentials, and then the Brewers are way up there with a positive one, and for some reason are expected to have won more games than they have. I don't know. Weird Brewers magic. But I think that it's interesting looking at that parallel to the Diamondbacks, because having all of those potential wins in the books, if you end the season 30-20, you're going into the postseason with on a hot streak, and that's when you want to be on a hot streak, is entering the postseason. Imagine these guys that are banged up aren't banged up anymore, and they're all starting to hit as a group. That they could be rough, like we saw at the beginning of the season. They can be rough on opposing pitchers.
How about we start here? Our record right now is 55-59. We come back and win this game tonight against the Twins. We're down 2-0 right now. Let's say we sweep the Twins and then sweep the White Sox. We're 1 game above 500. Let's just start there. Let's get back to 500. Let's get above 500, and then let the crazy things happen. Let it get crazy. Because I don't know, the thing that I keep when I look at this team is they're not as bad as they've been playing. And I think that's our biggest frustration with all this, is that they're a better team than their record in their play. And it's like they came off really, really hot, and then they got so cold. Everything has to kind of even out, and that's why you play 162, and you just hope that by the end that the true who the Cubs were will be on display with your record. And so that's what I want. I just want to see this team play to their capability and what they're expected, because I mean, like, they have enough guys that should be able to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, so oh.
It's real. We could believe.
I just look at the standings, and we're 6 games back, or what regular, what are we? Half games back in the division. We're 6 games back in the wild card. I don't know. I don't know how the Brewers run differential is plus 59. The sad thing that I feel really bad is the run differential for the Reds is plus 35, and they're in dead last.
Yeah. It tells you how much of that. I mean, as much as I like to bring it up, how great of a stat is that?
I mean, their expected win is 60 and 52.
Which would be the last wild card spot.
In Milwaukee is 64 and 67, which they're 62 and 49 right now. Yeah, but it's just crazy. But that was us last year. Like, our run differential was so much, and that didn't pan out. So that stat sometimes doesn't tell the whole story. But yeah, I don't know. I've almost been this whole Cardinals series talking myself into believing in this team again and thinking that this is very doable. And they have the perfect kind of setup now with what you said, with Tauchman being that fourth outfielder. You can bring him in platoon, which even, like, I'll go back to that Thursday night game. And I did a podcast solo on Friday, and I forgot to mention this. When you pinch hit with Tauchman for PCA in the 9th inning, how much of a gutsy call that was. Here you are. Like, let's say Tauchman gets out and doesn't score the winning run, and you go into extra innings. Then you're putting Tauchman out in the outfield, a worse defender than PCA, and you're putting Tauchman at second base, a slower runner than PCA. And so to be able to play the hot hand and know that, like, you know, Tauchman's got this guy. Like, you played the numbers, and Council made the right move. He pressed the right button and got that win. And then comes out on Sunday, hits Tauchman's a home run. Like, Miguel Amaya, Christian Betancourt hitting a home run on Friday. Like,
Yeah.
we're getting production out of our catcher position. Like,
It's crazy. Haven't seen that in a while.
Well,
What do you
now
guys think?
I wonder if there's something behind the scenes on that. Like was Tauchman's been doing well, but was that a Craig Counsell like coach move, like a poke, like, hey, I believe in you type of thing to like, I don't know, to bring up Tauchman to, I don't know, he's not been doing bad, but is it a thing of like, hey, by the way, I'm willing to make these types of moves and see what happens and bet on it, and then the rest of the team kind of sees that and goes, huh, okay, like he believes in us even as individuals along with the team. I don't know, just kind of, you know, the Craig Counsell effect. We won't really know for sure, but see, it's gutsy, like you said, Mitch, because I saw some stuff on, I think it was on Twitter, like, hey, you would have had PCA on second base, but
yep,
it worked out.
it worked
And
out.
we love it when it works out.
To wrap up the show, let's talk a little bit, because the Cubs did make some moves in their minor league system. They Kevin's principal And my ex-principal was at the Iowa Cubs game on Sunday, and he sent us a message like, man, it's pretty rough down here at Iowa. This team isn't very good. And it's like, well, yeah, a lot of the guys are either injured or they're up with the Cubs that should be there. I said, the best players are at AA. Well, then the next day, the Cubs make the moves, and they call up Matt Shaw, Kevin Alcantara, and James Triantos up to AAA Iowa, which has me excited. Like, it's one step closer for all those guys. It's a lot closer to call those guys up. Matt Shaw was absolutely tearing the cover off the ball for the last month at AA. Now he gets to see AAA pitching. Could we see a Matt Shaw getting called up to get some pinch hit spots late in the season? I don't know. Kevin Alcantara's on the 40-man.
Oh, so that's true.
The outfield's kind of, unless there's an injury, I don't expect to see any of them up this year, but it does make me excited going into 2025 with them guys so close. And all three of them, I know two of them, Triantos and Shaw, have been playing great baseball this year. Alcantara's played better after a slow start, but one step closer.
They're all super young too. 22, 21, 22, getting the call up. I mean, that's exciting. I feel, unless something interesting or I don't know, it would be a good thing to not have space for them at the Cubs roster next year. Like, the Cubs would have to be doing something really good, but exciting to probably more than likely see them next year at the latest. Those are all top 100-ish list guys in our system, all going to be playing together with Owen Casey and Moises Ballesteros. They're kind of building. It's interesting seeing this another new potential core of the team work its way up.
Yeah. And you guys can go watch a game.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I still got some tickets. Go see them.
Yeah. Before Betancourt came, I was thinking Ballesteros would get a call up and find a DH spot or get a couple spots, but Betancourt's been playing awesome since coming over from Miami. Like, the dude was pretty good for Miami for a couple of years and just come over, swung a hot bat for the Cubs, played good defense. So I'm happy that or whatever. What was the guy? Was it Nimmo? No, not Nimmo. Nito or Nato. I don't know. He wasn't even here long enough. I'm pulling a Jeff where he wasn't here long enough for me to actually learn his name. He was just the other catcher dude. Started with an N and a short name. But yeah,
it ended with an N. His name is Jan Gomes.
No, that's not even.
now you're melding them together into one person.
Tomas Nito. Yeah, I was Nito.
Who's that?
Exactly. He's hurt. He's probably not gonna
stop watching baseball at that point.
when Betancourt is doing what he's doing right now, Nito is like gone. Like, he's not. Even if he comes back from the injury list, they're just gonna DFA him.
Hey, did we get rid of is Hayden Winnipesaukee? Is he down at AAA learning how to pitch again?
Hayden Wesneski?
Yeah, that guy.
Is he on the injured list right now?
Yeah, I think he's on the injured list. He might be down at Iowa rehabbing.
Yeah. Keep him there.
But did you bring up his name and you were thinking about Caleb Killian?
Which Caleb Killian's come back and he's been pitching awesome for the Iowa Cubs. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Go Cubs, because are they still down 2-0?
They are.
2-0. Before we go, make sure that you are subscribed to the On Tap YouTube channel. That's where we are streaming live every Monday night. Also, go check out ontapsportsnetwork.com. Write great articles on all Chicago sports teams, so they got you covered there. And go follow our friends over at Cubs on Tap. They do awesome shows, so make sure you go and follow them. Thanks for listening, and call me crazy, but in a week from now, the Cubs are going to be ahead of the Cardinals in the division.
Love it.
Calling it.
Love it.
All right. Thanks for listening. Go Cubs.